Greetings, YouTube. It's the Brain Damage Gamer here, and this is going to be another one of my commentary / news segments I'm going to be doing. Just as a quick side note before we get any further into the video, the game on your screen right now is called Dead Cells. It's a roguelite-esque type game and has absolutely, positively nothing to do with any of the story that we're talking about. I'm just using it as background footage because it's a good game and I had some B-roll available. This is going to be about the Epic sale. The Epic store recently tried to have themselves a little Steam summer sale. From what it looks like, Epic saw, hey, there's been an announcement. There's a Steam summer sale coming. And somebody over there said, well, we could do that too because anything Valve can do, we can do better. So they just kind of slapped it together, said, hey, look, it looks like a sale, and go ahead and ship it. Get started on it. We'll see what happens. The problem with this is they didn't discuss this information with any of their publishers of games that aren't made by Epic. And accordingly, some of the developers took some serious issue with this random sale being thrown on their game with no apparent reason. Some examples of this: Borderlands 3, Bloodlines 2. Games like this that weren't actually out yet suddenly had discounts, meaning that when the game released, it would now be selling for a greater price than you could have originally purchased it for before the game released. So it devalued the game, and there was nothing that the developer could do about it other than remove the game completely for sale from the Epic store. Now, here's something I wanted to address on that. There were some other issues with some of the other sales and pricing, but we'll get to that in a moment. When you think about the kind of company that is willing to look at what Epic is doing with their exclusivity deals and how they're treating their consumers in general, the kind of company that sees that and says, you know what, even with all of these negatives, they're offering me a ton of cash. And I feel like this is something that's worth going to anyway. A company that does that is a company that doesn't have any concern for their consumer. They're not worried about the features that Epic doesn't have. They're not worried about the communication that they can't have with their community because there's no forums and no real way to give feedback. And some of them are actually happy about this because they're like, hey, people can't review my game and leave a nasty little review because I did or didn't do something appropriately in the game according to what they expected or what I promised the game would do. These people are just kind of happy that that's something they can get around. That said, if you have that kind of company coming over to your company, all they're worried about is dollar signs. How much money can I make? So the sale hits, and a couple of different developers see some little holes that they can exploit with this system. As an example, one of them, Supergiant Games, they took that exclusivity deal for their new game, Hades. Now, the game was, I round up for the penny, $20 in US, which makes it approximately €14.86. When it went on sale, Epic had a little deal that if you cleared a 15 value, then your game would get a 10 value discount. Now, I say 10 value because it didn't matter if it was $15 or €15. You got a $10 or €10 discount. Because, again, Epic doesn't know how to program. They just kind of threw a value out there regardless of what the actual currency worth is. Because that $10 or €10 has a little bit of a price difference between the two. Supergiant notices that their game's not eligible for the 15 value discount because of their European sales. They're like, all right, well, we could solve this by rounding up just enough to clear that 15 value marker and make a bunch of people happy. Instead, they decide, let's go ahead and just raise the price to $25 US. Wildly overshooting what they needed to for the euro amount, and also spiking the price in US dollars. What this means is that they are now still getting that sales rebate for the US and for the euro version. Meaning that they're getting paid an extra $10 or €10 by Epic, as well as getting most of the original value that they were going to get from selling the game to begin with. They quite literally shot that price up to get paid a little bit extra money on both ends. Now, since then, they've rolled back on that and said, oh, our bad, you know, it was only because we were originally intending to increase the price to $25. It was just poor timing with the sale. Which, to be honest, sounds like a bunch of company bull talk in order to get away with something. I don't buy that for a second. You're a greedy company that took the paycheck to get the exclusive deal, and you had a chance to try to get a couple extra bucks, so you took the paycheck on that again. Own up to what you are. You're greedy and slightly shady, which is why you did this. Don't try to sell this whole, oh, well, you know, it was confusing, so we were trying to adjust it. This practice, on top of being scummy, is illegal in a decent number of states in the United States, and specifically in all of the UK, it's illegal to do this. So I'm curious if anybody's going to actually, you know, catch on to this, and maybe there will be repercussions for spiking the price before you dip it when you get caught. Because that's the only reason they dropped the price. They got caught. Once they got caught, they said, hey, let's go ahead and adjust this before we get in too much trouble. Because now people are really freaking out. They're reacting to the outrage. And the outrage of the outrage is what they're worried about at this point. Other developers have just decided they're not going to deal with the entire mess and have said, I'm just going to go ahead and skip the entire Epic sale. Which, in hindsight, may or may not be a good idea for them because, to be perfectly honest, I'm not really sure I'd want to be associated with this big of a shit show for its first sale to be such a huge mess. Epic's not exactly endearing themselves to companies in any way, shape, or form. Klein Studios just pulled their game, Oxygen Not Included, directly off the store. Nobody will really talk about it, but it's most likely because there was a pretty steep discount on the game after all of the stuff came through, and they're getting ready to do a full release for that game. And I don't think they want their game to be devalued so significantly right before full release, and it leaves early access. But don't worry, folks. Epic said that their exclusive, gated community system of picking games and developers and publishers, that's going to make it so that they only get the cream of the crop, quote unquote, and it's going to be only the best people that in the best games that are going to be coming to their store. There's no way it's going to be a bunch of greedy people only interested in money and don't care about the games industry or the quality of the game they're making. There's no way that would happen. So I'm sure that this is going to continue to work out for Epic as they throw piles of money at their problem and try to make it go away. There's no way that's ever blown up in anyone's face. And as one little final point that's worth laughing at, apparently when they decided to have a sale where a bunch of games were going down to low prices and it'd be a good idea to pick up a couple, they still, number one, have not managed to get themselves a shopping cart. And number two, their system still doesn't know how to handle you purchasing more than one game, so it automatically locks your account, thereby making it so that you're penalized for buying multiple games during the sale. Good job, Epic. You're doing a fantastic job with your barely baked, poorly conceived store, and I'm sure that all of us are just looking forward to see what you do next, because there's nothing like watching the dumpster fire continue to go higher and higher. Anyway, those are just some thoughts I had on this whole debacle, and I think it's interesting that the Epic sale became the Epic fail so quickly. But as always, I am the Brain Damage Gamer. If you like this video, feel free to hit like. If you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe. Thanks again for watching. Game on.